Some were taken by illnesses, others died in car accidents, still others died under mysterious circumstances. But these classic Hollywood stars all have one thing in common: they passed away tragically at the height of their fame. Carole Lombard was an early Hollywood juggernaut who was nominated for an Oscar for her role in 1936's My Man Godfrey.
I'm sorry, but I didn't quite hear.
I said I'm not really having a spell.
Since her husband happened to be Clark Gable, she was also one half of Tinseltown's hottest couple. Unfortunately, her career and life were cut short on January 16, 1942, when the 33-year-old superstar and her mother were aboard a plane that crashed near Las Vegas. Lombard wasn't really supposed to be on this particular plane. She was an active fundraiser for the US after Pearl Harbor and had been touring the country to sell war bonds. However, after a massively successful event in Indiana, she decided to change her plans and surprise Gable by returning to Los Angeles earlier than expected. To do this, she and her mother stepped on the first available plane, TWA Flight 3. After starting the trip's last leg from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, the plane veered off course in the darkness and crashed into a mountain, killing everyone on board. The destruction was so total that when a studio representative arrived on the scene, all he could find was a lock of hair that may or may not have belonged to Lombard. Lupe Vélez might not have the kind of contemporary name recognition some of the other actors on this list enjoy, but she was a big deal. She made 45 movies, dated people like Gary Cooper and Tarzan star Johnny Weissmuller, and has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She started out as a dancer before moving to California from her native Mexico and soon transitioned into movie acting.
Oh, my name. Maria Juanita Rosita.
She became a famous star and also developed a reputation as an impulsive and temperamental character who wasn't afraid to charm and challenge the biggest male stars of the era. On December 14, 1944, the heartbroken Vélez, who was 36 years old and 4 months pregnant, died of suicide after her lover, Harold Ramon, refused to marry her. Unfortunately, Hollywood Babylon author Kenneth Anger later started a false but enduring rumor that Vélez had actually drowned in her own toilet. Marilyn Monroe's untimely death shocked the country. Officially, Monroe was found dead in her own bed on August 5, 1962, having died of an overdose of prescription medication a few hours before her psychiatrist found her body. Monroe was nude and disheveled, and was holding a telephone receiver in one hand. The dramatic circumstances of the star's death, combined with a period of seclusion preceding it, caused considerable attention and plenty of speculation about the last months of her life and the exact nature of her death. Despite her professional success, Monroe's life was difficult. She spent her childhood in various foster homes, and her personal life consisted of a series of unfortunate and sometimes abusive relationships and affairs. She also had addiction and mental health issues. Her death at just 36 years old has attracted all sorts of conspiracy theories over the years, with the wildest ones suggesting that she was murdered, either by a member of the Kennedy family or one of their affiliates to conceal her rumored affair with John F. Kennedy, or by an influential organization such as the Mafia or the CIA to influence Kennedy in some way. Few can hold a candle to Rudolph Valentino when it comes to star power. He was not only Hollywood's arguably greatest sex symbol at the time of his death, but his demise was so surprising and dramatic that its cause was named after him. His Hollywood breakthrough was 1921's The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and he went on to make multiple movies nearly every year until his death. Known as the Great Lover or the Latin Lover, the Italian-born actor was as popular as a movie star could be during this particular era of Hollywood. His star, however, didn't burn for long. Valentino died on August 23, 1926, after a ruptured ulcer gave him peritonitis, an inflammation of the membrane that lines the abdomen. Though he seemed to be on the mend after the initial operation, the ensuing sepsis eventually killed him. The condition became known as Valentino syndrome. He was 31. Bruce Lee's death came at the peak of his career, but he never got to enjoy his celebrity. He died a mere month before his smash hit Hollywood film Enter the Dragon premiered.
Or don't hit back.
What exactly caused Lee's death is complicated. Lee died in bed on July 20, 1973 at the age of 32. Like Marilyn Monroe, Lee's death attracted vast attention. In Lee's case, his cause of death, a cerebral edema that may or may not have been caused by an allergic reaction to pain pills, remains so mysterious that researchers are still coming up with new theories on Lee's death 5 decades later. Combine this with the fact that the particular bed Lee died in belonged to his mistress, actor Betty Ting Pei, and it's no surprise that Lee's untimely death became the stuff of legends. In the wake of his death, the public became extremely eager to learn everything they could about the martial arts star. This has also contributed to the various legends and rumors surrounding him. The demand for information created a steady supply of largely fictionalized stories and biographies, some of which contained claims about his life and death that have become entwined in his personal mythology. James Dean's story ended in a fiery crash. At the time, he was driving his new Porsche 550 Spyder on Route 466 in California, with plans to participate in a race in Salinas. The road was difficult and the Spyder was fast. What's more, while Dean was an enthusiastic racer, he was still unfamiliar with the intricacies of his vehicle, which he called Little Bastard. Ultimately, the light and low Spyder collided headfirst into a much larger Ford, which sent the Porsche spinning and crashing into a ditch. Dean's passenger, a mechanic, flew out of the car and was injured but survived. The actor himself was less fortunate. Dean died on September 30th, 1955 at 24 years old. Dean's life ended just as his star was rising. He was nominated for an Oscar for his role in his first movie, East of Eden, which made him one of the hottest new faces in Hollywood. Rebel Without a Cause and Giant, two movies released after his death, went on to establish his legacy and legend.
I thought only punks fought with knives.
Incidentally, Little Bastard also developed a reputation. The car from Dean's fatal crash is said to be cursed, and several people who have owned or handled it or used its salvaged parts have been in mysterious and sometimes fatal car-related accidents. Lon Chaney might have been famous, but his face wasn't. A pioneer of movie makeup and grotesque transformations, Chaney impressed audiences with his gruesome yet nuanced characters in films like 1923's The Hunchback of Notre Dame and 1925's The Phantom of the Opera. However, what truly set the older Chaney apart was the fact that, while he often used extensive makeup for his characters, he wasn't reliant on such tactics and was perfectly able to deliver great performances with or without extreme transformations. Film fans who are even cursorily familiar with classic 1920s cinema no doubt know Chaney as the man of 1,000 faces. Chaney died at age 47 on August 26, 1930. He had been greatly weakened by cancer and pneumonia, and ultimately died of a hemorrhage in his throat. Though he fell ill and died in what may very well have been his professional prime, his legendary talent endures, and he remains one of the best-known Hollywood stars of his era. Judy Garland made Hollywood history as Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz, but she was a prominent force in Hollywood well after that movie.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Moving on from her days as a child star, Garland scored 2 Academy Award nominations for her roles in 1955's A Star is Born and 1962's Judgment at Nuremberg. Apart from acting, Garland also juggled a prominent music career and a turbulent personal life. On June 22, 1969, she died after accidentally overdosing on barbiturates. She was 47 years old. It's hard to say when exactly Garland peaked in her career, as she worked hard over the course of her life and became famous young. But judging by the fact that some 20,000 people turned up for her funeral, she was definitely very popular at the time of her death. Junior Durkin was a prominent young actor of the 1930s. Though he only made 10 movies, he made a name for himself as Huckleberry Finn in 1930's Tom Sawyer, and the following year's Huckleberry Finn with Jackie Coogan as Tom Sawyer. The two were also good friends in real life. As an adult, Coogan went on to have a prolific career, and even scored a truly iconic character when he played Uncle Fester in the 1960s Addams Family TV show. Durkin didn't get such opportunities. On May 4, 1935, Durkin and Coogan were in a car with Coogan's father John and 2 others when they suddenly had to avoid hitting another vehicle. They wrecked and Durkin was killed. The relatively uninjured Jackie Coogan was the only survivor of the accident. In her heyday, Jean Harlow was one of Hollywood's greatest leading ladies thanks to a string of movies in the late 1920s and the 1930s. She appeared in 44 movies with some of the brightest stars of the era and continued to up her acting game throughout her career. Sadly, there's no telling what heights she might have achieved because her life and career were cut short at a very young age. Harlow was only 26 years old when she unexpectedly died on June 7, 1937, after a year pockmarked with various smaller health issues. She had already been ill for 10 days, but medical professionals thought she was doing better when she fell into a coma and later died in a Los Angeles hospital. Harlow's cause of death was uremic poisoning, a dangerous condition where the patient's kidneys are so damaged that they can't function normally, and the wastes that they normally expel go to the blood.